Rest they all say it wasn't me.
Right?
That just means you're guilty.
Well, I'm pretty sure it just went live.
It's live.
It is live. Look at that. That's great. Well, welcome to paraglidingtalk.com. I have a little thing I want to share with everybody. Hold on, just a second.
Yeah.
This is really
Yeah.
nice.
Do that.
Here we go. Welcome to paraglidingtalk.com. Your host, Robert Michaels. Glad you're here. That was the grand opening. My son made that. Thank you, son. I paid him $20.
Oh, wow.
This show's brought to you by ppgsmoke.com. Go check out the website, ppgsmoke.com. All kinds of great stuff for your paramotoring, Freeflight even. Also, the show's brought to you by paramotorprops.com. If you blow up a prop and you want to buy one really quick for a great deal, go to paramotorprops.com. Also, great website to check out is Para Orange Products. They have all kinds of stuff to protect your gear. They were our first sponsor, really near and dear to my heart. Larry and the Bag Lady make all kinds of good stuff for your paramotor and free flight needs. That's paraorangeproducts.com. I do also want to mention that this show is brought to you by Nebraska PPG. Josh Bowden, he has a school there in Nebraska. If you're looking for some good training, go sign up with him. He's got a link in the description. And all of our sponsors are linked in the description. Glad that you're here. You're joined tonight by the moderation team, Sean Nafsker, Nick, how do you say your last name? Fazekas? Fazekas. I got it. See, I was really close. And also Anthony Peregringo. And special guest tonight is Kyle Mooney. He was just on Paramotor Nation last night. And I felt the need to snatch him up and bring him onto this show. No, actually, he messaged me just before the show, and our guest can't come on for 2 more weeks, and I'm going to keep it a secret who that guest is. But it is a zinger, and we're going to have a great time tonight. Kyle Mooney is a instructor for paramotoring. He's also an acro pilot and a good one at it. He's part of an acrobatics team for paramotoring. And so you're going to really enjoy this show, and we're going to have all kinds of questions. We're going to talk about all things flying. Welcome to the greatest show on Thursday nights, talking about paragliding. If you are in the chat, make sure you say something Heidi ho or hello, and your name will be put into the wheel of spinny winny things. And tonight we're going to be giving away something special to whoever wins on the winny spinny wheel. 41 people logged in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, Craig Taylor, I got to send you one more invite. I don't know what happened. His email didn't. Did you hear? Well, they're all in the other room and they all screamed, "We're doing it live." Shannon Brooks just donated $3.99 to the super chat. Shannon Brooks, you rock. If you want to support the show, you can do it on Patreon or PayPal or the super chat. And that unlocks the next level of goodness in your life. So support the show if you want to keep it going. There's links in the description. So Kyle, how are you, my friend? And
I'm great, man.
Really appreciate you coming on tonight. Sorry, I'm doing like 20 things here. I'm trying to send our good friend an invite. What's new and what's fresh? And if you guys were already watching Paramotor Nation, then if you hear the same things, I didn't get a chance to watch it. So you can just say all the same stuff you said on there, and it wouldn't bother me one bit.
Well, to start, I moved up to Minnesota where my family lives. So I'm living up here right now for the time being.
You betcha.
I know. No, although my grandmother talks, I mean, just like you see in like the movie Fargo, like, oh, don't you know we're going to go up there to the supermarket? Yeah, no, that's her through and through. But not me.
I was born in Michigan, so I know. My brother's up there. You betcha.
I'm 60 miles from Canada.
Oh, wow. You can fly there with a paramotor.
Yeah, I could. No, thank you, though. But yeah, so moved up to Minnesota. And...
Are you originally from Minnesota?
Yeah, this is my hometown. This is where I grew up.
Okay. I did not know that.
Yeah. So I'm up here for a while. My wife's upstairs doing, I think she's baking because that's what she likes to do. So,
Okay.
yeah, just
Musky.
hanging out, having a good time, and trying not to freeze. It was like 45 degrees today, and I walked outside this evening and went, "Should I go fly?" No, it's windy and cold. I'm walking back inside to
45
go to my basement.
for the
Yeah,
high.
yeah. That was I think the high today might have been 48.
Early.
Brutal.
Ooh. Sandy, what is it, Robert? Like 90 degrees here? San
It was
Diego?
a
85,
For
90?
me, it was 102.
I'm a little jealous because it's 40 out right now.
I don't know, man. There's certain times when I'd take 40 and put a jacket on and go fly.
Right?
100.
Sometimes.
All you gotta do is come to Ohio, bud. Come to Ohio.
Ohio.
Come to
Ohio. I like
bro.
Ohio. I've been there
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
Ohio.
plenty of times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Kyle Mooney, $10 to the super duper chat. Your name goes into the spinny winny wheel.
Well, that was the
Nice.
plan.
That was very kind of you to do that.
Yeah. You know you've been in there since your first comment, Kyle.
Yeah.
He's taking it out of that $11 payment that you're making for him for showing up on the show.
There's
Wait.
Craig. We
Buttering
can-
me up on the wheel, that's what it is. And then people are
There-
really
there-
going to think it's fixed when it ends up picking you. They're gonna be
Well,
like,
it's
oh,
because
this
my
is so good."
section's like this big, right?
There's Craig.
that happened with Matt
Craig's here.
Minyard.
I gotta go.
Yeah.
Oh, dang. Gone. Well, I do want to bring up some important topics. We're going to talk a little bit about safety. Obviously, that's one of the most important things that we like to discuss on this show, being a better pilot. And if you want to be a better pilot, it's up to you. Start this show off tonight by saying that it is critical that you take this sport seriously. This is aviation. Nobody would jump in an airplane and start to try to self-teach. Nobody would get in an airplane and just decide, I'm just going to crank it, turn it on. I'm just going to fly away. You do a pre-check. You're considering every decision that you're making. Those are critical decisions. Thank you, PPG Bobfather, for the donation. You are awesome. When we consider what we're going to do, usually in progression, and that's what I want to talk about first, we take our time and we don't just jump into, you're not going to get on your wing and in the first 6 months throw down some sats and those, it just doesn't work that way. There might be this rogue 0.05% of people that are able to pull that kind of stuff off, but we are we need to take it easy. And so let's talk about your progression. You've been on the show a couple times, so we're going to spare the how you got into the sport and all that stuff. Let's get right to the goodness. Talk about your progression into what you're now doing, infinite tumbles on a paramotor. Start from the beginning and explain your thought process.
So I did it a little bit differently. Like, we tell everybody now, don't get self-trained, take an SIV, do those kind of things, which that's exactly what you should do. And we're saying that because we've done these steps in probably not the correct order. And when we see people do them in the correct order, it's just overall better. So the way I learned was my dad actually taught me in the backyard. He had 2 flights under his belt and he started teaching me. So, I mean, teacher, maybe it was, here's how you grab your A's. But then after that, I pretty much taught myself, to be honest. That was my progression. Doing like my first sat, keep in mind, I was like 21 or whatever it was. So my learning ability was obviously a little bit better than someone who's 40 or even my age now.
Are you 22 now?
Yeah, no, 28. 20. I'm almost 29.
Don't worry. I can joke around like that because people still think I'm very young. I grew a mustache, so I'd look a little older.
Well, I can't grow a mustache. This is like 3 weeks right here. Like if I wanted a beard like Craig's, it'd probably take me forever. So I can't do that. But yeah.
And Craig shaved this morning.
I know, right? But yeah, so I guess the progression in an ideal world would be, get trained. And honestly, I would take an SIV like right out of training, which I think is a great idea because it kind of gets you in the mindset of like, okay, this is what it can do. This is how I kind of fix it if I, know. And then after a year or 2 of flying, take another one. Because they're not expensive. It's a very cheap price to pay considering, you buy a snowmobile. That's the same price as paragliding training plus fixing it. It's the same thing as, whatever. So I would try to keep it in a nice format, like I guess a good example is Craig. So we trained Craig how to fly. And after that, he flew a lot. And then he wanted to get his tandem rating. So did that, you take these incremental steps, and it starts with kiting, and then it, goes to the motor, learn how to fly. Once you're in the air, then after that, it's working on those air skills and being safe and taking what you learned in school and bringing that home to continue to fly safely and just build experience.
What's your recommendation for somebody that is maybe a couple years in and they've got they really want to be able to throw down big stuff, and they see it on YouTube and they're going to get to it, but they don't really necessarily want to spend the time at an SIV, or maybe they can't go to an SIV?
I guess then my best thing to tell you is, if it's going to sound cliche and terrible, but it's one of those things, like, do you value your life, essentially, is what it is. You'll make that time to go to an SIV because there's no replacing what you're going to learn at those things. Even if you could do like what Travis and I do in Florida is we do some advanced courses where we'll take somebody in who, we're not doing SIV, so we're not doing stalls and we're not doing things like that, but we're doing, working on the wing overs, working on the foot drags, and sometimes we're just working on takeoffs. I've had guys come for advanced courses that show up and, I'm good to go. I want to go learn barrel rolls now. It's like, well, we're going to one step at a time. And then I tell them to take off, and they have 5 failed attempts. So it's like, well, I think we should work on your takeoffs first.
Yeah.
And I've
No
done
wind
that.
launches.
Yeah. No wind launches. Sometimes it's good to go cross. I'll set up a student crosswind on purpose just so they can figure it out, because inevitably they're going to misjudge the wind and have to take off crosswind. So, one of those things. But yeah, I guess if my best advice is, if someone's like, I can't do that, then find a good mentor. Like, if you know somebody who is better than you, then talk to them and ask them. And if they don't know the answer, then they should reach out to somebody else who does know the answer. Don't just go out there and just try it, because I'm a bad example of that, because that's what I did. And that's why I can tell people, like, don't do that, because if I would have gotten trained properly, I'd be twice the pilot I am now, because it took me a year to learn what I teach a student in 2 weeks.
How many SIVs have you taken now?
Me personally, that's
Mhm.
why I said I did it wrong, and I'm not a good example.
You've taken 0 SIVs?
I've taken 0 SIVs. So when I learned to do like the full stall, I guess you could say it was an SIV, but it wasn't like a traditional. My very first free flight was in Organa off the Magic Mountain. First time I ever free flew a glider by myself. I had no idea what I was doing. I took off, and I had Javi Malaguita, and I guess those in the free flying world know, like, Raul Rodriguez.
Yep.
And they're the legends. So yeah, I had those guys on the radio with me. So it was cool, but it wasn't really a course. It was like, yeah, okay, just pull down and yeah, it'll figure itself out. My first glider I used for that was an acro wing, which obviously you should have used an A wing, but that's all I had was an acro wing. So, but yeah, that's, not taking an SIV was terrible, because like I said, I'd be much better and much safer, much more quickly. I'm pretty safe now, but I have been a lot safer in the progression leading up to where I am now.
And you know where your limits are.
Yeah.
You can spend, trying to think of a good example. You can spend a lot of time working on one thing because you're afraid. Whereas you can go in a safe environment over the lake with a rescue and really go after it. I did an SIV in the last few months, and it was incredible. And I want to say, honestly, and I've said this a few times, before I got into the SIV, I wasn't interested, and I was actually anti-SIV. And if you go back to my original, in the very beginning of my shows and different times when people would ask, are you going to do an SIV? I would make excuses. And,
oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And the reason why I don't want to say that I was afraid. It was more that I didn't want to spend the money, didn't want to burn the vacation, didn't want to deal with the all the headache of maybe traveling or just all the dynamics that are involved. And
yeah,
Max Marion from the Torrey Pines Glider Port asked me, are you interested in doing SIV? I said, yeah. And then I went there, just kind of said, I know I need to do this. And basically it was to shut up the naysayers, because so many people, I mean, I still get comments on a regular basis from my Cascade video, and that thing's just cranking. That video is nonstop. Every day somebody comments on that. And the fact is, when I walked away from that, I was like, that was amazing. And it was, I only had a chance to actually fly 2 days back to back. But we had so many runs. You learn how to go on tow. Have you done much tow stuff?
Yeah, we've done some tow stuff. Yeah, obviously we do towing for every class that we do, but it's not payout. We do pay in. But payout tows are a little bit more tricky. Obviously, you need to keep tension on the line and make sure the boat driver knows what he's doing, and the pilot knows when to release, and you have a radio. So it's a little bit more involved. But when we're doing pay in, it's not as big of a deal. But yeah, a lot of people are like that though. A lot of people go, I don't need to go to an SIV. Like, what for? You know, they're like, I know my glider. Well, you know, go up to 3,000 feet, turn your motor off, install it, and then tell me how well you know it, because I can guarantee you it's not going to go nearly as well as you think it's going to. So don't go try that. I'm not endorsing that. Please don't go try that.
I was going to say something when I finally got into the air, and I'm there. I realized how much I was going to spend, and ultimately it was, you know, it's going to be over $1,000 with everything involved. And I said, I'm going to go after this. Like, the first thing that he wanted to do is like, okay, we're going to do asymmetric collapse. And so just reach up, grab your A's and yank it down. And I didn't want to do this half-hearted, like, okay,
just,
yeah. Okay. So I've just boom, the whole, I mean, I had like just 20% left on the first one. It was so hard on the right, just boom.
But it still flew.
Oh yeah. And it was great. And then it was like, okay, now full speed bar, both A's, rip them down and just blow the whole thing up, and then pops back open. And I was astonished at how much that wing can handle and how quickly it fixes itself. And little cravats, my glider is a little bit, it's a C, so it has some issues, but I learned so much walking away from that. Things that I would never have done. I use the term counterintuitive because there were things that I know that I would have never tried on my own in a slow progression, you know, over the dirt. And so I think an SIV is like, it's almost like the cheat codes.
Yeah. So, and actually I just saw a comment telling you not to do what I did. So yeah, that's actually exactly right. And that's why I feel like the advice is, it's more so than like somebody who's done it all and they're like, oh, that was the right way because I did it. And you know, that's true. And that's helpful. But the fact that I did it all completely backwards or whatever you want to call that is like, that's exactly why that it's a good idea to take these courses, because you'll be such a better pilot. You know, I mean, like Craig, he got his tandem. Craig, how long did it take you to get your tandem rating?
4 days. 5?
Yeah, and you flew for how long before that? Like 2 years?
A little over a year.
Okay, yeah. So
with a big mix of alternate weather.
yeah, so I mean, you know, look at Craig. I mean, he took proper training because I trained him, so I know it's proper. And and then, you know, we did the Trike tandem course for him too. So I mean, it's crazy. Within a year, he was able to take a pilot up, and people are like, I want to bring up my daughter or my cousin or my friend, and then we're like, no, it takes time. Well, with some dedication, proper training, it's not that far out and that unbelievable to do that kind of thing. It's just taking those correct steps. Yeah, it costs you a little more money, but you spend a lot. Believe me, spending 15 grand on this, getting everything you need, and then training and all the other stuff is way cheaper than breaking your arm and having to pay for that at the hospital, or breaking more than that.
But I will say though, my original instructor was also Kyle. He said that a good attitude and a willingness to learn goes a long way. And I mean, that credit goes to him and Travis first to get me to that point so quickly and efficiently.
Yeah, it's just having that dedication is definitely what it's what'll keep you going. It'll keep you alive. You know, like I saw something about a reserve. No, I've never had to throw a reserve. My goal was to get to the infinite on a paramotor without ever having to throw a reserve in any shape or form. I've thrown one in the garage for fun because I had to repack it. But aside from that, I've never actually had to throw one because something bad happened, because I took the proper steps and I was able to get to where I'm at without having to do that. And I'm still on the 0 record. So
I've got a couple questions from the chat. One,
Yeah.
this is from Jim CR120. By the way, he wanted to give a shout out to Shannon from Four Winds PVG. I guess.
yeah,
they,
if you guys want your
customer-
glider inspected.
What in
awesome.
the world is walking around behind Nick?
I saw that. I don't know who it is, but I saw that earlier.
Like squirrel. I've got
Yeah, no,
Nick
Lauren and
muted 'cause
Shannon.
there was a
They're-
dog barking back there.
Oh,
Yeah, I saw
Lauren and
Nick
Shannon
Griffith
are
riding
awesome.
around on his one wheel with an alien suit on. Shenanigans
awesome.
are starting tonight, and they're going to get
Yeah.
really bad, I have a feeling.
Yep. Where are you guys at, by the way?
I am in North Carolina at the Flight If You Got It fly-in.
You had to really think about that. He's like at one fly-in to the next to the next.
This is my
Right.
fourth one in a row,
Oh my gosh.
and I have it on the big screen on the side of the trailer tonight. There's guys out there watching it, and they'll keep like popping in front of the trailer and
Nice.
rocking my trailer around. It's like an earthquake here half the time.
Yeah. Nice. The question was, now that you're in Minnesota, oh wow, where did all these questions are piling up quick. How will your flying change, and what might you be doing instead?
So I kind of like to suck it up, and okay, if it's 30 below out, I'm not flying, but if it's above 0, I'm flying. So, you know, when it's super cold, obviously I'm not going to be up in the air flying because it's terrible. But I'll still fly all the time. I mean, like today it was 40, it was just windy, so I didn't fly. But tomorrow night is like 42 and no wind, so I'm going flying. It's going to be cold, but whatever. But I guess in
Gloves?
the meantime, what's that?
Heated gloves?
Sometimes,
Okay.
or I'll do like a 5 or 10 minute flight and then land, warm up, go back out and do it again. I mean, you do what you do to get your adrenaline rush, right?
Whip some infinites real quick, land and warm up again.
Yeah, so I can do another run. I mean, that's what's good. But yeah, no, if I guess instead right now I'm actually teaching at the middle school. I'm a long-term substitute for any of the teachers there. So like right now I'm doing like 7th and 8th grade science in the school that I went to. So it's a cool like side thing to be able to do that, and then I can still fly and still help out Travis when needed and all that. So, and I'll be flying down to Florida at least twice this winter to do some training and go fly and do some tows.
009290 asked for Kyle. My wife wants to come with me to Lake Wales, but she doesn't want to train with me. Can she do volunteer work in the office?
So I don't know where he's training, if he's training at One Up, because I don't think so. I don't think he's training there. I would assume he's training at Aviator. That would be a question. Honestly, I would ask Chris Garrison at Aviator or Allie. You could ask them, or you could just, I don't know your wife, so I can't make these comments, but I'd tell her to love it and do it anyway, because I can guarantee you, if you and your wife go, we've had this happen numerous times. A husband drags his wife along and the wife's like, I don't want to do this. This is going to suck. Whatever. You're just making me do it. Or during the intro, she says, he made me do it. She ends up liking it more and being better at it than he was.
Oh, dang.
So
just let her kite for a while over off to the side. Next thing you know, she's taking over the field.
yeah, exactly. So that's what you should do, is like have her start the class and like, hey, can we be a shoe-in type of thing? And then if she starts going and she likes it, then it's like, okay, I'll just pay the fee and we'll do that. So
the question is kind of like, are you a competitive couple? Do you
Yeah,
play
I like
competitive
that.
sports with each other? Because if you do, odds are she's gonna want to like
Yeah.
totally beat you at this.
and I'll guarantee you she's going to be better than you at kiting. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's how it is. I've never seen a couple go into it and the husband's like, I'm good. And then the wife's like, no, I'm better than you. So yeah, I've seen it numerous times. And it's kind of funny because then the husband's like, what is going on?
Yeah, that's exactly why my wife can't get involved in this. Can't be having
Really,
that.
it's the ground handling is a lot like dancing. It really is. You got to step
Yeah.
with it. You got to be able to not step on her toes and not let her drag you, because she will.
Right?
Yeah.
Harley Letts, he had a question for you. He said, when buying older used paramotor paraglider, is old technology still safe?
Yeah. Okay. So it's a very open-ended question, which It depends on what it is, right? If you tell me you're finding a 10-year-old Fresh Breeze or a Blackhawk, I'm not picking out those two brands. Those are just two that I know that go back a long time. Probably not. You know, I mean, it depends. I know a lot of guys that fly this older equipment, and it's safe. It really is. But you can't really beat, you know, like the newer stuff. Like look at the new Tesla crash safety rating. It's a perfect 5 because it won't roll over. And then you look at a vehicle, like I had a 2002 F-150, it's a piece of junk. It would crumple up like a tin can. So, you know, and obviously crash tests aren't really a thing in paramotoring, but when you're looking at the weld points, and honestly, you get a lot of torque compensation, which helps a lot on the newer machines. The newer machines almost have no torque on pretty much any of them, whatever, regardless of what you get. And then it's just gonna be more reliable just because it's new. But I mean, yeah, I don't stray away from buying used either, but just make sure you're getting, you know, something decent. Don't just go buy something because it's $1,500, because you're definitely going to get $1,500 worth of something.
I'd fly a Blackhawk.
I'm not judging. I had a Blackhawk too.
Robert, you'd
I
fly
had a
any motor
Blackhawk.
you can get a hold of right now.
I'd make a lawnmower. I'd put a lawnmower on my back.
I've
if it had
seen
good thrust.
that.
I got one I'll sell you for $50.
Yeah.
Oh boy,
Put a
I want
prop
to see
on it.
that.
Does it come with a harness?
Hey, there's a lot of questions from
Yeah,
the chat, but hold
I'm
on,
burning through.
I'm gonna interject one of them really quick because I've seen this question come up several times on quite a few paragliding talk, but this one's important. It's from some guy from Resurgence PPG. For Kyle Mooney, who gives the best hugs in the PPG community? I thought it was important.
Sorry, Todd. I have a dog, so I think I didn't even know the door was open, so he ran in. Who gives the best hugs?
Somebody
yeah,
needs a hug, apparently.
Hey, Todd, I'm waiting for a donation to the channel, and I'll tell you who it is.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, dang.
That's awesome.
Make
You
it
get no
rain.
love until you pay it. You got to pay
Right,
for the love.
Because
Make
right
it
now the
rain.
dog is beating you. The border collie is beating you. Hey, buddy.
Even licking your neck and everything, man.
I
Jeez.
know,
Just-
right? He
Just
knows what's up.
me on YouTube. The guy's name is Just Me. He asked, "What is the scariest thing that has happened to him while flying?"
I was doing an Infinite in Lake Wales, and I was probably 3 months out of learning it. So I was, you know, overconfident. Skill wasn't quite there yet, but I put a camera on my leg because I wanted to get the cool photo when you're upside down in the Infinite and you look at the camera and you give like the big like whoa face. And I went down and I did that, and I looked and I got the camera, and then I actually pumped the brakes too early, so it caused a small collapse while I was upside down, and then I let it ride. And then the next one I guess I got scared, to be honest, and I braked too early, and the glider balled up into nothing, and I got a couple of riser twists, and then I was at about 1,000 feet, and it hadn't dived yet, so I actually fixed it and got out at about 800 feet. But let me tell you something. If you ever get scared doing something, you know, assuming it's not a wingtip drag, but anything else, you know, you're flying around and you get scared because you're trying a maneuver or you're working on a maneuver, especially one that you know, don't be scared to restart and go back up and do it again. Because otherwise, if you just stop cold turkey and you're not going to go do that maneuver again, you're going to be scared and you're not going to want to go back up and do it because it's going to be eating at you the whole time. So get back up there, do it, and then land and go like, okay, I could still do that. I just needed that reset. So that's what I do personally. If I screw up my last maneuver, I'll start my motor and do another run.
So at that flight in Lake Wales, you were free flight or motor?
Motor.
So JP Tulo had a question earlier. I don't know if it's written in here, but he asked about that very thing. PPG Infinites. He said, "Why is PPG Infinites so much more rare than PG Infinites?"
So to start, obviously, there's a lot more paragliders in the world, like paragliding pilots, than there are paramotor pilots. So that's one reason. The other one is in Europe. So, I mean, paramotoring is not as prevalent there just because there's generally mountains everywhere. So free flying is much more prevalent over there. But in terms of just raw, like, why is it different? Well, you have a 70-pound motor, give or take, on your back when it's fully loaded with gas, reserves, and all of that, because I carry 2 reserves and I carry about 4 liters of gas when I fly. And you just have this big weight on your back. So imagine like go put your motor on and go sit on a swing set and then, you know, rock back and forth. It's a lot harder to get twisted, but it's a lot harder to get untwisted. So yeah, it really is just people don't want to do it because it adds a, you know, that risk. When I trained, I never took the, like I said, I never took the SIV, but I did train with Theo DeBlick, the world champion, twice actually. And when I trained with him, I asked him about motors too, and he just said it's very dangerous, and not safe. That's what he said. And it was because, you know, they don't really know it either. I told him I flew a free ride and he about crapped himself. So it's like, will you fly those things? You know, and it's two different breeds. So, but yeah, it's just a lot more stuff going on when you're flying. You have a lot more weight, you know, that energy on your back is really difficult. So yeah, and frankly, it gets kind of scary when you transition from paragliding to motor, because you just have this thing on your back that it's not natural. When you're free flying, it's you and the glider and that's it. But on a motor, you have this giant weight that you have to deal with. So that makes it much more difficult.
We have a legend in the chat right now. Max Martini is watching.
Oh, Max.
Yeah. And he had a question for you, actually. He said, where is the limit in acro paragliding or paramotoring?
First off, what's up, Max? Yes, there is. So I'll start. Max, I love your videos, by the way. Keep those up. I watch those all the time. So actually with the limit, you know, some of the maneuvers that we do paragliding, you know, the Mac twist, those higher goofy negative maneuvers that we do, like the Mac twist is awesome. That's probably my favorite maneuver ever, just because it's so fast and quick and fun. But on a motor, we have that swinging sensation and we have a lot more weight. So if you were to do a Mac twist on motor, it's a lot more, you could easily get riser twist just because you know how quick that maneuver spins. So there's some things like that. Like super stall to infinite on a motor, could it be done? Yeah, I mean, that could be done. I just need a smaller glider and the more brass to be able to go do that over some water in a motor I don't care about. But yeah, I mean, honestly, it ends up just being because of those G's that you pull and that different, well, I don't even know the words I'm looking for. It's just the way that the pendular energy is on there. So yeah, I'd say it kind of stops at the Misty to heli, infinite to heli. You know, doing those are daily things on the motor. But yeah, I'd say once you start getting into the Mac twist, it gets pretty ravenous. Like the Joker and then twisted maneuvers are much more difficult. I did see Horacio doing twisted maneuvers on his motor, but it's very dynamic when you get that way.
Let's give something away. I don't know if Max has time to come on. If you want to join us, I'll send you an invitation, Max. We're going to give away a neck gator.
All right.
Paraglidingtalk.com neck gator.
All right. So no more names in the wheel.
No more names. No more names in the wheel.
No more names in the wheel. The reason why is because
I've got some other really good questions, by the way. James Robinson has a great question. Andrew Everts has a great question. Force 23 is a great question. And Chuck Johnson. And
ready?
I'm sorry. I think that's everybody. Jim CR120 has another question too. Amazing tonight. Great questions. Spin away.
I don't see my name on that list.
This show
your name is
brought to you by the Tri-State Skywalkers, and this spinny wheel is brought to you by the Tri-State Skywalkers. If you're in the Indiana, Kentucky, or Ohio area, you can reach out to Brandon McLeod. Join a flying club. It's going to help you grow in the sport and make you a safer pilot. If you're interested in joining the Tri-State Skywalkers, there's a link in the description. Also, if you're wanting to kill germs, germgladiator.com has the greatest deals on hand sanitizers. Show is also brought to you by iFly Indiana Powered Paragliding. If you're interested in flying paramotors, no better place to get the proper training than iFlyIndiana.com. I don't care what Dell says.
Oh, snap.
Oh, is Durbin going to get it?
Nope.
Oh, Durbin didn't get it. Neither did I, though.
Robert in California.
I'll keep going. Can you push the wheel a little further?
I don't know.
Oh, dude, that thing is still going. Oh, it's going to be close. Right on the line.
Robert, California.
That's me. That's me, Robert, California.
Were you Robert California? Because I
I'm
got you
Robert
in as
in
Robert
California.
Michaels.
Thanks, guys.
No. Robert California, not Robert Michaels.
All right.
I got Robert Michaels and Robert California in there. Robert California.
Congratulations. Winner,
Great
winner.
work.
Winner, Robert California, near and dear to my heart. If it's the Robert, I think it is.
He probably doesn't have to ship it then.
Yeah, I don't know.
Congratulations.
Where in California is he?
Blossom. He flies Blossom if it's the Robert California that I know.
Nice.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy. I remember the first time I met Robert, and I was coming in for a landing at Torrey, and he screams, "Robert!" And I'm like, somebody knows me. And I had like 100 subscribers. Congratulations, Robert. Reach out to me, and I'll mail this thing to you if you don't want me to give it to you. My mom donated $10 to the super chat. Thanks, Mom. Yes. Did anybody
Oh, Mom.
catch?
But Todd still didn't.
What happened? Oh, Todd. He's waiting for me to send him money. That's what we should be doing.
Yeah, I mean, I was yeah.
Resurgence PPG.
See this? No, and Todd didn't even point that out. Look at this, huh? What's that, Robert? What?
Hmm?
What's
Like
Oh,
that.
nice.
That's
Oh, yeah?
right. Representing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Boom. See, we love you, Todd.
Let's get to some of these other questions. There's some really good ones. Question from, I'm trying to keep this in order, from Harley. No, we already did that one. It's from Jim CR120. Question for Kyle number 2. No, 3. Now that you're in Minnesota, have you considered towing with a snowmobile, and would you?
No.
I like that.
If you have seen lockout happen, if you've
Mm,
never seen it, go YouTube paragliding lockout, and you'll
Oof.
see exactly why. Because a paraglider will flip that snowmobile right over if it pulls on it hard enough, and also it's just unsafe to do it when you got lockout that you got to worry about.
Great question, because there's people that will try that stuff, and that is
Now,
not.
please, no four-wheelers, no side-by-sides. Use a
Oof.
payout winch. That's the only thing you can use.
Yeah.
Or run. If you want to pull on a rope and run, that's fine. Knock yourselves out.
Yeah, you're not
But
going to
other
lock
than
out.
that, no.
Yeah.
Other than that, payout winch only.
Yeah. Andrew Everts, how does changing props alter thrust and noise levels, and when should it be considered? Great question.
I love that.
That's an engineering question. I like
It
that.
is. And I'm not going to give you an engineering answer. But
Yeah.
the answer that
Just
I'm
do your
going to give
best.
you is so obviously if you add more blades, just because you add more blades does not mean more thrust. We had a 6-blade prop.
What?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry. Yeah. More blades does not equal more thrust all the time.
That is lame.
I know, right? Like I could just put 40 blades and just put a disc on the back and it would work,
Yeah.
right? Now we had a 6-blade prop and it was it sounded awesome. It sounded like a jet engine almost. But the thrust just wasn't there. It was super, super smooth, which is awesome. But there's a kind of a happy medium. So a 2-blade prop is fine, obviously. And then I fly a 3-blade. That's my preference. I love the 3-blade. It's the perfect mix of noise, thrust, all the above, and price. And then you can go to a 4-blade, which I think has a little bit more power than the 3. It's just more expensive because, add each blade up and it costs whatever it costs. When should it be considered? I would say, everyone starts out on a 2-blade for the most part. Fly the 2-blade, and once you're, 6 months in, whatever, or when you're not butt landing or ever having to worry about a prop, unless you do something really dumb, then go to a 3-blade. That would be my suggestion. The 3-blade is my favorite prop. It's Travis's favorite prop. A lot of the guys, Ross Gasway, AJ Going, they love the 3-blade prop as well. It's just, we
What's
like the
cost?
sound, we like the power.
Cost difference.
I think it's $450 for a.
I went right for the throat, and he's like, I work for paramotorprops.com, but I don't know exactly.
Okay, so a 3-blade is $475 and a 2-blade is $320.
Dang, 450 to 320.
475 to 320. However, what's nice about any of the props though, like if you have a 3-blade and you break, you have A, B, and C blade. If you break A blade, you can just say, hey, I broke this prop on my 3-blade. You send us a
Really?
picture. Yeah. And then we can just order you a blade. You don't have to order the whole prop. So you can just pay for 2 blades, which is 2/3 of the cost. So that's a good benefit. But yeah, I would say after you're just making sure you're not breaking props, from learning, then yeah, go for a 3-blade. They're smoother. They feel great when you're flying because it's not this rattling, and you get more power.
I'm like, what's a prop? Is that when I run off the hill?
That's the things you trip over when you're running off of the hill.
Yes. We got some great questions. Let's keep rolling. James Robinson. And I think that's any recommendations for a newly minted senior citizen trike flyer that just wants to fly around normally? What should I do to be a better trike pilot? And thanks. And if I can answer before you do, watching this show. Just saying, James, you learn all kinds of stuff from this show, and it's free. Just internet is wonderful.
Right. I'm actually trying to find that question. I don't think it got copy and pasted.
Yeah, that was an early question. I went
Okay.
out of order, and I think I skipped James because it was such a good
You're good.
question.
Honestly, a good trike. I mean, it depends on what you want to do in the future if you're looking for tandems. But the nice thing too, like about the tandem trike that we use, is the Fly Products Flash Cruiser. Actually, I'll put that in the chat right now. And it's a good trike to take triking because it has a little roll cage on it. So if you do tip it over or roll it, you're not exposed, right? Yeah, on some trikes you have the cage to protect you. Obviously, if you tip over, you have the cage that's going to hold you up. But honestly, it's the Fly Products Flash Cruiser has that really nice roll cage on it. And if you ever decide to do tandems, you just add the passenger harness and you can do tandems on it. So that's what I would suggest. Craig has one of those, and that's what he uses. That's what we train on. That's what we do our tandems on. And honestly, it's great. I haven't been able to find another trike. I know Parajet makes one, but one thing that's nice about the Flash Cruiser is you can actually take your motor off and go foot launch it, and then just put it back on and go triking or tandem if you want.
I can foot launch, land, and be on wheels with a student passenger back in the air in about 20 minutes if they've already been briefed.
You notice how he said foot launch and not feet launch?
Yeah. Well played. Have you guys considered doing any of those flights where you dump a passenger? Like, let's say I wanted to bring my paraglider and debag out at like $3,000.
Oh man. Before we got the trike, we had it on order, and I told Travis that I'm jumping out of the front. Sadly, in the US, it's not legal. And that's because you have to have a TSO chute to jump out. So if like I could dump a skydiver out because he has a TSO, it's a regulated, chute, right? It's a regulated glider, and it has to be professionally inspected. But when it comes to debagging now, if I put a skydive rig on my chest and debagged out, that's legal. But I can't just jump out with just a paraglider and my reserves that I bought from Ozone or Jin or whoever else I bought them from. So unfortunately,
really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, well, you can do it, just don't put it on video. But I personally would, just err on the side of caution with those kind of things. I would just be careful because, it's not technically legal per the FAA.
All right. We'll talk more about that in the after show. By the way, if you want to jump on the after show, you're a Patreon supporter. Right at the end of the show, you just put your email link in the description, and it blurs it out so nobody gets it, and then we'll send you an invite. You can join us for the after show. It's all kinds of great stuff. I got a kid bothering me. You need to turn that off. You're sucking up all the gigabytes, kid. Get out of here. He's watching the show.
Hey, kid, you bother.
Yeah, you bother me. By the way, this show is brought to you by Lone Star Paramotor. If you're in the Lone Star state of Texas, you can reach out to Ron Turan, who is a very good man. I like that guy. Ron Turan and his team, they have world-class training. Check their website out. It's lonestarparamotor.com. freeflight.com. Also, this show is sponsored by Torrey Pines Glider Port. If you want to learn how to free fly, the most beautiful place on the planet, Torrey Pines Glider Port. Fly Torrey is the website, flytorrey.com. Let's get to some more wonderful questions here. By the way, you guys are amazing. The people in the chat are just, every week, they blow my mind. Here's a question from Forced23. He said, what other sports has Kyle done other than flying experience?
So honestly, I did, when I was in high school, I played soccer and I played baseball. I rode a lot of motorcycle. But other than that, in terms of like different sports, I played paintball for probably 12 years. And I didn't like do this. I did the stuff that's on like TV and I went to national events and stuff. And I really like that. But yeah, aside from like extreme sports, I mean, skateboarding, biking, things like that. But yeah, no, flying's been my thing. So for the last 7 or 8 years, that's been what I do. And honestly, I wish I would have found it like 10 years before that, to be quite honest.
We've got another question. This is from Harley Letts. He said, Kyle Mooney, is it safe to do acro in strong wind?
Yeah, it is. It depends on what you're doing and where you're at. So say you're you really need to have a laminar wind, right? You don't want the crappy wind coming off the hills. You don't want a bumpy wind. I mean, I've done an infinite and 20-mile-an-hour winds at 3,000 feet. The wind doesn't matter. It could be blowing 1,000 miles an hour. I mean, I'd end up on the other side of the country, but as long as the wind is laminar and smooth, it doesn't matter what the wind is. So I would check your like Ryan Carlton, and if you're have a smooth transition all the way up, you know, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 5, 8, 9, 12, 11, 13, whatever. If it goes up in like those increments like that, generally you're pretty good to do acro, especially at the higher altitudes, because the wind doesn't really matter. It's just going to push you into a different box area.
I've noticed that the wing, once it's loaded, let me give you an example. You lean right and you put a lot of right brake, and then you get into a nice solid, spiral dive. And it turns into some real energy.
Yeah.
My son just commented in the chat. He's so excited about that. Is that your first comment ever, son? You need a beating. He just ignored me. When the wing is loaded, it doesn't matter really what's going on with the wind. You could be flying through your own wake. Your wing is just solid and stout. But I want to say this: when your wing is loaded and things go wrong, they really go wrong, like bad, like explosive bad. So take it with a grain of salt. You can fly in. I don't recommend flying in strong winds. I guess there needs to be a definition. I've flown at Blossom when it's gusting up to 25, which is kind of spooky because there's times when my glider only goes 22. So when you're in the middle of a gust and you're low and you're flying 3 miles an hour backwards and your hands are up and you're considering, I might want to get on speed bar. That's kind of spooky. I watched a video today. Man, this was a scary one. If you follow the show on Instagram, there's this. Dad, look at the chat. Yeah, I'm not looking at the chat, son. Where's your mother? She needs to take you out of here. I don't want to say it wrong. It's like Battlefly. It's got to be in Europe somewhere. They have some really good posts. Well, anyways, this guy was caught in a gust front, and he was flying backwards like 20 miles an hour. And then he was hitting these pockets of lift. He's trying to land. The backdrop is pitch black. He's probably been in the air for too long, and he's flying backwards. And it's like an anxiety video. And it just goes for like a minute and a half of him flying backwards and going down and down and down into a gnarly part of town. And I'm thinking, oh, no. Be careful before you leave to consider what's going on with the weather.
Yeah, that's always a good thing, is keep an eye on the weather. I mean, when you're up at 5,000 feet, it doesn't matter if it's blowing 20. It's the fact that you're going to end up getting blown way down into the middle of nowhere that you probably don't want to be at. So just one thing to keep in mind.
Yeah. Yeah. You should follow the show on Instagram. Here we go. Got some more questions. Sorry, question for the chat. Does flying with more than 2 blades void engine warranties? Great question from Jim CR120.
Yeah, so I've been flying with the 3-blade for a long time. A lot of us do. From what I understand, and don't take this out of context, but Vitarazi has not told me that yes, if you fly with a 3-blade, you're going to void the warranty. If you're putting a 6-blade prop on, maybe. But for the most part, I've never heard of that voiding a warranty because these blades are made for that. And I guess if we got down and dirty with it and gritty with it, I mean, you could say any prop that's not your stock prop voids warranty. And we used to have a thing where if a customer actually, back when we sold Air Conception, if they broke a prop on their motor, that motor was no longer warranted, just for the fact of if they ground pounded it and they messed up the prop, then it can be on us, and it can be crankshafts and things like that. So keep that in mind when you're doing it. I mean, we've actually warranted them still, because they might have just had, they ran it on their back and then something threw it and broke it. That's not their fault, but it's still, it can be tough. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, generally it doesn't void your warranty. But if you want a 100% answer on that, I would just email sales@vitarazi.com and they'll tell you right away.
And boom goes the dynamite. Next question. My 3-blade E-prop. This is from Matt Cowan. My 3-blade E-prop didn't suggest a specific orientation, what to mount them in. Does it matter?
So take a look at your prop. There's going to be different markings on there. And if you ordered a 3-blade, it should come with a piece of paper. And sometimes it actually doesn't matter. So I actually tried this on mine. I actually mounted them all in different configurations because of the weight and balance. But if you think about a 3-blade prop, they're all going to be in the same orientation, regardless of how you put them. Like you can't put this one next to that one and this one next to that one, because they're all going to be touching anyway. So a 3-blade doesn't really matter. When you get to a 4-blade and a 6-blade, then they actually have dots on the side of the prop. It's a little sticker, and like the red goes with red, and then red goes on top of green, and then yellow goes on top of that, or whatever the order is. So yeah, but generally with a 3-blade, it doesn't matter what orientation, because you can't screw up the orientation anyway.
Max Martini asked, who do you think is going to make the first real paramotor loop, like a plane?
So I haven't seen this in person, but I have heard a couple Europeans, Alex Mateos, I've heard that he's done it, although I've never seen it, so I can't verify that. To be honest, the first paramotor loop, I can get pretty close with a powerful motor, but what I would probably need is that new Boxer 220 or a Thor 250 or the new whatever it is, and I don't think it'd be a problem because I weigh 130 pounds.
Oh my gosh. And so if you don't know what looping is, he's literally talking about hitting the gas and going all the way around with just sheer thrust.
So give me some water and give me a Sky 220 or the Cosmos, and I think I can make it happen. And it'd just be kind of fun to just be able to do that. Just come straight down and just pull full brake and just right over the top. Oh, get me excited thinking about it. Let's do it. Anybody got one?
Where's the Cosmos?
Oh.
Where? Come on. Everybody thinks it's funny to make me and Chris drool over that thing all year. When's it coming? Come on.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know. The 185R is out. The new Moster 185, but it's actually a limited edition, so it's not going to be like, mass produced. It's kind of like the factory was. It's only made in batches, just because it's got a full titanium exhaust and it's got more power than the regular 185. But take that with a grain of salt. I haven't asked about the Cosmos actually, so to be honest, I don't even know.
Fly Swamper said this. He said, let's say I was buying a tandem trike setup and getting the rating. What wing, thinking size mostly, would be recommended for a tandem setup where the instructor is 220 pounds and wants to take similar? similar one.
I'll let you answer this one.
Yeah.
I'll let you answer this one, Craig.
Oh, I thought you were gonna ask. I was getting ready to get my calculator out. If 4 people
Oh,
were
yeah.
walking north, no, just kidding.
What do you think,
seriously
Craig? Which
missed it.
ladder?
I was
Well,
busy. What was it?
What tandem glider would you get? I know I saw David Wolf in the chat. Yeah. But yeah, it's the Triox.
The Triox for sure.
Yeah, that's what we use. That thing I think is rated for like 600 kilos or something ridiculous. Which for those of you that don't know, that's like 1,300 pounds or more. Actually, it's like 1,400. But yeah, so I would suggest the Triox. And I'm only suggesting that because that's what I have experience with. I guess I have a little bit of experience with the Gin Fuse as well. Those are good gliders. Really, any of those like top brand tandem gliders are nice. I just like the Triox because of how easy it launches, and that it has acro toggles on it. And for those of you that don't know, acro toggles have it's a big neoprene hoop with a big hook on the top. And it's nice because I can actually hand my passenger the bottom of the brake and I can still hang onto the acro toggle on the top. So one nice thing about it, but it's really personal preference. But yeah, I would suggest a Triox, Gin Fuse. Those are all good gliders.
Nice. Does Kyle want to teach, Kyle Travis, one up, want to teach foot launch tandem?
No.
Okay.
Reason being is because when you take somebody up on a foot launch tandem, I have to worry about the passenger sitting down. And really, it's not at my risk in terms of being hurt. It's more on them because they're the first one to the ground in that case. So we like to do trike tandem because it's much safer for your passenger, much more safe for your passenger, much more safe for the pilot. And it's just overall a better experience, I think, for the passenger because they're able to sit down. They can bring their phone with them. They can relax. They don't have to do anything. It's kind of like riding in an airplane, right? You just hop on and go. And it's kind of the same with the trike tandem. We give them a short briefing talking about what they can and cannot do. And then once we're up in the air, they can let their legs dangle and we have, if we bring a selfie stick, they can have that with them. So I would just definitely suggest trike tandem just for the ease of use and the safety with it.
Oh gosh, Kelby Cox is brutal. He said, "Why do you only have one shirt, Kyle Mooney?"
I got another one. It's back there, but I wore this one last night and I literally put it on for the show and then put it on my chair back there because that's where I make my videos, right back here where it's dark. And then I just put it back on when I did this show, and I'm going to take it back off and put my sweatshirt on when I'm done.
By the way, I really like your videos for Ryan Roberts and the PPG Smoke team.
Oh yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, he
those.
actually reached out to me and we were talking, and he just wanted some product things that obviously I've done that kind of thing before, so it was good to help him out.
Yeah, he's great. Wow. My wife is trolling me in the chat. Paramotor Crazy made a statement. Quasi. He made a statement about the weight. What was it? It was like 800 and something pounds for the Triox. Oh, 863. 863 pounds max on the Triox. Very fascinating.
My bad. I know. I don't know.
David,
I got your phone number.
He might have made that up, so you be careful.
That's a load test at 5.25 Gs.
Oh, he wants to get specific. I mean, load test at 5.25. Load test at 8G is 270 kilograms. So let's just round down 500 pounds times 8. So it's a lot.
I put the link of the chart in the description for all the tech savvy.
Nice.
This ain't no joke. My wife was trolling me just on the chat, but now she's trolling me in person.
I did see.
She got put in timeout.
Oh, she got put in timeout? Who did that?
Rip man.
I'm not saying.
Oh my gosh.
No. You know what?
That is a brave soul.
Rip man did a grand service to our chat and to your editing program for after the show's over, and you're going, who says I smell like boogers? Why
dang.
does everyone say my farts smell like dead cats?
I
What?
think one of those kids that were trolling you in the studio there have her name on that iPad.
Yeah, she's logged in or
You're
something
right.
on there accidentally or
You're
something.
exactly
Yeah.
right.
So I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
that's why Ripman gave that.
Ah,
But just
that's-
for the record, you're not supposed to call those moderators out.
Yeah. Well, but you know what? No. I think he deserves
Just
like,
in-
a cookie with golden flakes in it.
Just in
Because-
case it is her, don't call them out.
Oh, I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
it wasn't her. No, I saw the comment and then I saw him
so
take care of it
nervous
and I
right now.
thought, awesome. You know what I mean? That was good. That was a good call because I was about to do it. So sorry, Aaron. We love you.
Craig, do you have any words for Resurgence PPG? And a NOTA maybe?
I do actually. Please, if you can, spare a little bit of money, time, or effort to Resurgence PPG. It is a 501c3 nonprofit for veterans by veterans. Fantastic program. If you don't know Todd in Resurgence, he does give the biggest and best hugs in the paramotor community.
Nice.
So going back to the beginning of the show, and it's a fantastic program. If you know any veterans that are disabled and could benefit from that program, please nominate them on the Resurgence website. Also, Smile.Amazon will donate percentages to Resurgence if you pick them as the charity, if you can't help in any other way. A quick update, some of those Para Orange products, motor covers, it was a limited edition special run for blue covers for Resurgence. We ordered 10 of those, and Todd did a video, and a few more sold to some of the guys in the chat. They paid around 300 plus for those, and we doubled their contribution, and those funds will be going back to Resurgence. NOTAMs and TFRs, there are a couple under the New Jersey area, and they have varying times. So if you're on the East Coast in that area, please check your NOTAMs for those times and locations.
Well played. Jim CR120, thank you for the $10 super chat. I think you donated something else earlier in the show. Thank you. I really appreciate you supporting the show. Also, Shannon Brooks, thank you for giving again. I think that was the second gift on the super chat. All of the money that comes in the super chat is going into my paramotor fund. I'm just kidding. I don't know what's happening with it. It might all go back into the show. Who knows? But I'm really excited. I just sent out some invites to the regulars for the after show. Kyle Mooney, thank you so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. It was kind of a last minute thing, and you made it happen, and grateful. Great questions, great feedback. There was one more question before we go off the air from Phenomenon Awesome. He said, Kyle, any word or hopes for a Speedster 319 meter?
So that I know of, no. However, the Sirocco 2, I think it is, it's the same exact glider as the Speedster 2, and it's an awesome glider. It's actually identical. The Speedster and Sirocco are identical. It's the same thing like the Roadster and the Spider. They're identical gliders. It's just made out of lightweight fabric. But overall, the characteristics are the same, except for launching, which is obviously a lot easier, and the glider's lighter. But no, as far as I know, not a 19 for that, but there is a 19 in the Sirocco 2. So that's always nice. And a lot of people ask about the lightweight fabric. Like, is the lightweight going to be more, is it going to fall apart easier? Well, no, my free ride is lightweight fabric, and I've had that for, I don't know, like 3.5 years or something. I'm going to sell it soon because I'm going to buy a new one. But no, honestly, I'd get a Sirocco. It's the same thing, and you're going to enjoy it just as much.
All right. Well, we're going to have to get you on again soon. I'd like to talk a little bit more about wings and choice and all that stuff. So anyways, I really appreciate everybody, all the moderators. Sean, thank you. Appreciate you. Nick, Anthony Peregringo, Craig Taylor, you guys all play a very important role. And more importantly than all of them is the people in the chat. Thank you. Thank you for your contributions to the show. If you want to support the show on Patreon, you can do that on PayPal or Patreon. Go support the show for the price of a cup of coffee. You can contribute to something that might save your life or save someone else's life. So thank you. Really appreciate everybody. We will see you on the next one. Stay tuned. Next week, we will not be having a show. Thursday night off. I'm going to be out of town. So the following week, we have a very special guest, a guest that we've been waiting for a while. I'm talking about for a minute. And I'm pretty excited about that. So anyways, thank you guys. Really appreciate you. We'll catch you on the next one. If I don't see you on the air, I'll see you in there. Paraglidingtalk.com.